and welcome to Headstart. Tonight sees the 6th heat of the competition, and for that we look to the Orchard County of Armagh. We're setting out to find the top young business in Northern Ireland to claim our first prize of £15,000 and this beautiful specially commissioned trophy from Tyrone Crystal. The overall prize fund is the biggest ever given away on Ulster television, standing at over £45,000. Now, there are only 2 rules to the competition. All our competitors must have set up since January 1984, and they each must have an annual turnover under £600,000. In addition, a special Ulster Bank Headstart Endeavour Award of £3,000 will be presented to the top company with a turnover of under £100,000. Each of tonight's competitors, though, can win up to £1,000, which in itself is a fair head start. Needless to say, they have all already been through the mill with our panel of judges, and tonight is the final hurdle as they jockey for a place in the Ulster Grand Final on March the 9th. Talking of the judges, let's now meet first our resident trio. The Chief Manager of Ulster Bank's largest branch in Northern Ireland, Waring Street in Belfast, Wesley Parker. Our marketing consultant is Helen Rolston from the accountancy firm of Deloitte Haskins & Sells. And a man who knows all about the tough world of business is dairy entrepreneur Garvin O'Doherty. And joining us this evening, our guest judge from 3i plc, Management Advisor John Wishart. John, you're very welcome to Headstart. Our second contestant tonight is a young lady, Alison Quinn. And Alison comes from the Quinn Dental Laboratory based in Portadown.
Anyone who has ever had dentures fitted will tell you that unless the plate is comfortable, they can be pretty miserable things to put up with. In her small workshop in Craigavon, Alison Quinn manufactures a very special denture plate made from a chromium alloy which is both very strong and very lightweight. Unlike acrylic plates, the patient doesn't have to worry about fractures, and it has the added advantage that it doesn't interfere with the patient's ability to taste food or gauge temperature. Once Alison receives the impression of the patient's teeth from the dentist, it's filled with quick-drying plaster, which makes a perfect cast for her to work on. Making the framework for the denture is a very intricate business, requiring a steady hand and keen concentration. These strips of wax are then covered with a mixture which has to withstand temperatures of up to 1,000 degrees centigrade in a kiln. Into the pattern left by the melted wax, a small crucible of metal is added, dropped through a hole in the cube. The metal is then evenly spread by the centrifuge before the cube is broken open to reveal the fruits of Alison's hard labours. After being sandblasted and put through something called an electrolytic brightener, the plate is almost like a piece of dental jewellery.
Helen, you have the prettiest smile of all the judges, so we'll start with you, please.
Good evening, Alison. You've had to break into an established market. How did you manage to get dentists to use your product rather than the ones they had been using before that?
Well, I found most of the dentists that I approached were keen to try me because they wanted to keep the work in Northern Ireland. They didn't really like having to send work to England. And also, I think I impressed them with my quality. And I reckon I can compete on quality with the English market. Plus, they have a face-to-face contact with me. If they have any problems, it can be very easily sorted out.
Alison, you didn't mention price in that. Is price important or quality?
There's a set price in Northern Ireland, really. If you cut prices, it's of no real advantage. There's so much work about, you don't need to.
Garvin.
Hello, Alison. Your product is obviously very labour intensive with high skills required. Yes. Can you tell me if you want to expand, is there skilled labour available?
Yes, there's not many, there's quite a shortage. But every year there's 5 new students come from the training centre. And all trained as I was trained, I think a very high standard. And if I was going to increase my staff, I would hope to take on 2 fully qualified technicians, and then we could take in trainees after that and train them up to our standards, to our level.
John?
Good evening, Alison.
Right.
Yours is understandably a very young concern at the moment. How are you going to build in a structure to the concern?
I think if I employed the extra people, it would free me to do a bit more selling, going to meet the dentists, discussing problems. I could have someone else to take care of production, make sure the trainees are working up to scratch. And I would still like to be there at the end of the day to make sure that every job that went out was up to my standards.
Finally, Wesley.
Good evening, Alison. You've established your business based very largely on your two great strengths of high quality and high service. Is there, however, a slight risk to you from competition coming in from, say, larger operators?
No, I don't imagine so. I would personally like to be a larger operator myself, but the main competition, as I say, is in England. Anyone in Northern Ireland who makes chromes, it's usually as a sideline to give their dentists a complete service of acrylic, chrome, orthodontic plates. I really think there's a lot of work to be got in Northern Ireland at the moment.
Alison Quinn, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
We'll start with you, Helen, please. Your marks for Alison.
Alison, I think you've achieved great results from a position of unemployment. I'm awarding you 195 points.
Garvin?
Alison, you've shown courageous enterprise and business-like manner, but I'd be a bit worried you're the key person at present. I'm going to give you 185 points.
John?
Well, Alison, I think you've created a very good import substitution business. It's up and going, although at the moment it's very fragile in organisational terms. I would award you 185.
Wesley?
Alison deserves great praise for providing a very good service, high quality. I award her 180 marks.
Thank you, judges. Looking at the scoreboard, we see Alison Quinn's total is 745 points. Well done, Alison. One final look at the scoreboard will reveal that in third place tonight, Alison Quinn on 745. In second place, Ian Cameron on 775. But our winner tonight, the youngest competitor in the entire Headstart competition with a superb score of 840, Lawrence Breen. Well, we'll be seeing Lawrence again in our grand final on the 9th of March when he will be competing for our first prize of £15,000. That's all for this week. Join us again next Thursday at the same time for the last of our heats when we'll be looking for a competitor from Belfast to join the 6 county winners in our grand final, as I say, on March the 9th. Until then, from us all here, it's a very good night.